Well, one thing is certain that the Prime Minister's visit to Israel will mark a new chapter, a rather bold foreign policy chapter where Israel is concerned vis-a-vis India, which prompts us to ask a few questions right here in this bulletin. Already we have seen a fair amount of noise created back home where the opposition is concerned. So why is the opposition at all protesting the Prime Minister's Israel visit? Is the Congress somewhere down the line a little guilty of double standards, and will ties with Israel be dictated by Gulf nations? The handshake with Israel to help anti-terror fight, and will Prime Minister's Israel visit upset ties with Arab nation? Does this now point what we were talking about earlier? A new, bold foreign policy towards Israel, which clearly suggests altered geopolitical realities now. And what message does the Prime Minister want to send out by not visiting Ramallah, the seat of political power where Palestine is concerned? All right, for good reason, we've decided not to have any politicians, nobody from the opposition, nobody from the BJP in this news bulletin. I think the best people to talk would be the former diplomats who've served the country. We have Shiv Shankar Mukherjee, who's joining us live, Sheel Kant joining us live as well, and in the studio with me is J.K. Tripathi, all three former diplomats. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Good morning. Mr. Tripathi, let me start with you. You're in the studio with us, and the question I'd like to ask you is, one thing is quite certain, with the way we have seen things pan out over the course of decades with our relationship vis-a-vis 1992, where Israel stands, this will mark a very bold new chapter. What do you reckon?
Yes, certainly it will, but I would like to add that it is not, as the journalist interviewing the Prime Minister said, it's not a 180-degree turn, it's 90-degree turn, I would like to say. It's not going against any country and towards Israel, it's balancing it finally, very carefully decided, calibrated policy towards Israel as well as Palestine. So, but yes, Israel is a reality, and we admitted it way back in 1992 when we decided to establish diplomatic relations with Israel, and now it was high time that we realize what progresses Israel has made in various areas where we can get benefited from them, and Israel can get benefited from us. So that was one thing which it should have been done a few years back, but never late than it is never late.
So it was time that India boldly came out, embraced Israel to actually draw the maximum benefits out of this cooperation. Let me also bring in Shiv Shankar Mukherjee to this debate. Mr. Mukherjee, doesn't it somewhere down the line suggest now the altered geodynamics where the world is concerned, geopolitical dynamics here, because it's a concerted shift, it's a bold move, especially where foreign policy vis-a-vis Israel is concerned?
Well, yes, it is, but it is not. It is not the kind of game changer that, in fact, has reversed direction. We've already been going in that direction for a quarter century now. Sometimes a little slowly, sometimes with more, enthusiasm. But yes, the significance of this is manifold in the sense that this is the first time an Indian Prime Minister is visiting Israel. Our President has visited, but the visit of a titular President is more like a declaration of intent. Whereas this visit underlines the fact that more than just declaring the intention of boosting and strengthening relations, we are going to actually add a lot of action on the ground. Again, as a departure from the past, this is the first time an Indian Prime Minister, or any Indian minister for that matter, is visiting Israel bilaterally without balancing it out with a visit
to Ramallah,
to the Palestinian Authority. But credit to Indian diplomacy, to Ramallah, but credit to Indian diplomacy, we have already hosted the Palestinian Authority's president in India, and I'm sure that the logic and the whole thought behind this visit has been explained to him. I know for a fact that Arab nations and the Palestinians understand India's policy on the political aspect of the Middle East, which is basically that our relations with Israel now stand on our own feet. Arab nations like Egypt and Jordan have already signed peace treaties with Israel. We think whatever little we can do in terms of the Middle East peace process is actually assisted, not hindered, by our relationship with Israel. And finally, that our support for the Palestinian cause continues undiluted, regardless of the growing and very important relationship we have with Israel. Finally, the most important pillars of our relationship with Israel are actually non-political. They are based on Israel's prowess in water management, agriculture, defense systems, which are extremely important to us, startups in which Israel is the second largest player after the United States, and so on. So, given all that, yes, I'd underline the extreme significance of this visit.
Mr. Mukherjee, let me also quickly bring in Shilkant Sharma. You know, Mr. Sharma, drawing from what Mr. Mukherjee said, you know, irrigation, defense, terror. Now, these would be glossy headlines that would be governing front page news in both countries across this visit. But you know, one can't reiterate enough because there's a public message that has been sent out. It's a very bold move. India has been hedging earlier, of course, like we pointed out earlier in the studio as well, that maybe over the last decade, there has been a move towards it. But it's a concerted, bold public gesture now.
Well, you know, as has been already stated, the process has been underway for quite some time now, and it required the courage of leadership, because you know, for a Prime Minister to visit Israel, somehow or the other, in India there has been a whole miasma of doubt which has been created, that, oh, you know, so and so will think it differently, so and so will take it amiss. So it needed the strength of a very bold Prime Minister to decide that he will go, and that's what Prime Minister Modi has done. In the past there has been attempt, but because of various different political you know, constraints, this couldn't have been done. I would say that this word bold which has been mentioned is the very apt word for this this visit, and that makes it a landmark visit. Israel also is very happy to receive our Prime Minister, and as the joint article written by the Prime Minister and Mr. Netanyahu in the Times of India today indicates, both Israel and India are on the same page on many things. And science and technology and agriculture and water and space, they are actually value neutral. You know, they have no, they are the best manifestation of human enterprise, in which both India and Israel have tremendous complementarities. And that's what we want to harness. And I think Prime Minister's and Prime Minister Netanyahu's article speaks it very well.
You know, gentlemen, we're going to talk deeper about that. We're going to talk about what we hope to achieve where defense, irrigation, agriculture is concerned. We're going to go into a quick break, sir. We're going to come right back to it, because at least till now, what publicly seemed like a courtship which was behind closed doors now is out in the open. And what can India actually draw from it? Because India needed to embrace Israel publicly to draw the maximum out of this cooperation between the two nations. We're going to talk more about it. A quick break. We're back with our guest, Lucy. Well, the fact that the Indian Prime Minister's visit to Israel is going to be nothing short than historic, well, that's not an understatement, and reason to believe that as well. Because let's just, Mr. Tripathi, look into just what we hope to achieve in terms of where defense is concerned, agriculture is concerned, irrigation is concerned. We are actually one of Israel's biggest buyers and one of the only few countries which actually agrees to sell the top end in terms of the defense equipment, the top of the line, the latest technology to us.
Well, you see, you are right. We have been the biggest buyers of Israeli defense hardware. Of course, it's not like tanks or aircrafts we have not been buying, but other accessories and smaller surface-to-surface missiles, drones, other things.
Armed drones is a deal which is going to be closely looked at.
So drones and missiles, these are the two things on which we expect that there would be a deal, there would be an agreement. And moreover, you see, we supposed to benefit from Israel's advancement in agriculture, water management. And we have been working with Israel in this area, not from now, but since last 20 years, I would say.
So we can draw the maximum out of this.
We can draw the maximum out of it. Then Israel's space programs, we can chip in. Then we can have Israel's cyber security and Israel's anti-terrorism
which is
and
most important
sharing.
Especially vis-a-vis Pakistan, Shiv Shankar Mukherjee, how important do you reckon would be the talks when it comes down to terror? Because India and Israel clearly have a common enemy there.
Well, Pakistan and its use of terrorism as a state asset, as controlled by a military establishment that nurtures terrorism, exports terrorism, certainly is in that sense in conflict not just with India and Israel but the whole world. But having said that, yes, the Israeli expertise in the two aspects of intelligence which are all important, which is human intelligence and electronic intelligence, is as good as any in the world. Secondly, whether it is the supply of arms during the Kargil war, of things we needed during the Kargil war, or various other points of time in which we have needed Israel to chip in with certain assistance that we wanted, Israel has never been ambiguous or reluctant or less than enthusiastic.
Right.
So counter-terrorism, sharing of intelligence, which is crucial, is certainly going to be one of the top priorities in the conversations that will take place in Israel. And not only that, terrorism figures in just about every interaction between heads of government and heads of state these days, but largely it is confined to the joint statement and lip service, whereas the talks that will be held with Israel, and more importantly the follow-up that will take place after the political signals of cooperation are intensified, will actually have meaning. Israel's assistance in this regard, in terms of counter-terrorism technology and counter-terrorism intelligence, is very, very useful.
All right, let me quickly get in a word from Shilkant Sharma before we wrap up this bulletin. Mr. Sharma, sir, just with what we began this broadcast with, do you reckon India can make its stand on Palestinian very separate to what we are seeing, the bonhomie with Israel? Can it be separate? Because, of course, the politics is already at play back in the country.
No, I think this is a very, it's an non sequitur. The Palestine cause India has been supporting from time immemorial. I was myself a desk officer when Arafat first came to India in 1918. We opened their embassy here. And the amount of time these Palestinian leaders have visited India is a legion. So we have done enough for Palestine. Our relations with the Arab countries also are very, very good, very high. So when we open up Israel, it's unnatural to immediately link up that, okay, you are going to Israel, so you go to Palestine. Why? I mean, the relationship stands on its own, which has been stated. And it doesn't at all mean that what we are doing with Palestine has to be every time. It's not like a, the link is unnatural, is a forced link. Why should we do that?
All right. Appreciate you, gentlemen, for joining us. We're going to track the developments very keenly. Our viewers can catch the latest right here in India Today. We, of course, would be going back.